So the Middle East is on an absolute knife's edge. A conflict that was, until very recently, contained between Iran, the U.S., and Israel has just exploded. We're now looking at a regional crisis that's pulling in the entire world. Today, we're going to break down how we got here and what could possibly happen next.
Look, if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. The entire game has changed. This isn't some localized fight anymore. As of today, this has become a very dangerous, multi-front regional war.
You know, the speed of this escalation is just stunning. So let's start right there. Let's look at exactly how this conflict managed to spill over its original borders, creating entirely new battlefronts in just a few hours.
This timeline really shows you just how fast everything went down. The day kicked off with a direct Iranian strike on a U.S. embassy. That was the spark. Almost immediately after that, Hezbollah opened up a whole new front from Lebanon. Of course, Israel hit back. But Iran didn't stop there. Oh no. They spent the rest of the day hitting the economic lifelines of the Gulf states, basically dragging the whole neighborhood into the fight.
Okay, so to really make sense of this chaos, we have to look behind the attacks themselves. Each side here is playing a very different game, with very different strategies, and that's exactly why this thing is spreading to so many new places so quickly.
And you can see the two clashing playbooks right here. On one side, you have the U.S. and Israel using their powerful air force for these very precise strikes, going after military command centers inside Iran. But Iran? They're fighting a totally different kind of war. It's what's called asymmetric. Instead of meeting strength with strength, they're using this huge net of drones, missiles, and their allies to hit softer targets all across the region, basically trying to create chaos and make this incredibly costly for everyone involved.
And this is the result of that strategy. Just look at how far the battlefield has spread. We've got active fighting in Lebanon and all across the Gulf. Countries like Qatar are now involved, and even the UK is being drawn in directly with attacks on their bases. The whole thing has even spilled out into the sea, threatening one of the most vital shipping lanes on the entire planet.
So with missiles flying across a half-dozen borders, you can bet the world's diplomats are scrambling. But they are far from united on this. The global response has been really sharp and deeply divided, as countries are pretty much being forced to pick a side.
And this chart, well, it lays bare the geopolitical battle lines. You've got one camp with traditional U.S. rivals like Russia and China, and they're condemning the initial strikes. But then, on the other side, Iran's own neighbors are condemning Iran's retaliation, calling it a violation of their own territory. And that leaves major European powers stuck right in the middle, just begging for calm, while the main players, the U.S. and Israel, are making it perfectly clear that they are not stopping.
And trying to cut through all this noise is the United Nations, with a pretty clear and frankly desperate plea. The Secretary General is calling out the actions on both sides, and he's calling for an immediate ceasefire before this thing spirals into a total regional catastrophe.
Right. So this is the crucial point. This isn't just a regional military problem anymore. Not at all. This conflict is already sending huge, tangible shockwaves across the entire globe.
Let's talk about this number for a second. 20%. That's how much of the world's daily oil supply flows right through the Strait of Hormuz. By threatening to close it, Iran is basically holding a vital artery of the global economy hostage.
And of course, behind all the strategy and the geopolitics is the tragic human cost, and it is growing by the hour. We now have confirmation that 6 U.S. service members have been killed, along with at least 1 civilian sailor on a tanker, and at the same time, reports coming out of Iran, though they're still unconfirmed, are suggesting hundreds of casualties from the ongoing airstrikes.
And this number, 12, tells you something really important. This is how many countries the U.S. is now telling its citizens to evacuate from. It's a stark warning that the danger isn't just in the countries directly at war anymore. The risk of spillover, of protests, of reprisal attacks, it's now regional and completely unpredictable.
And those ripple effects, they just keep spreading. We're talking hundreds of canceled flights, energy markets that are going haywire, and European navies scrambling to protect commercial ships. This instability is even forcing countries as far away as Pakistan to deploy their own military just to control protests at home. No one, it seems, is immune.
So, with everything escalating this fast, the question on everyone's mind is, what happens now? What are the intelligence assessments saying we should be watching for in the immediate future? Well, analysts seem to agree that the next 48 to 72 hours are absolutely critical. We should expect both sides to basically double down, more strikes from Israel and more retaliatory launches from Iran. But, and this is key,
At the exact same time, there's going to be this frantic, behind-the-scenes diplomatic effort to find an off-ramp before it's truly too late.
And that really leaves us with the one single question that defines this entire crisis. As the military tempo picks up, as the bombs fall and the missiles fly, can the diplomats move even faster? Can they find a way out before this conflict spirals into the full-scale, devastating regional war that everyone is so afraid of? For now, the world just holds its breath.